Thank you. Welcome. Are you here for the graduation?
Yes.
Yeah. Welcome. Please, okay. Okay, great. Thank you. Good to see you. And what's your name? I'm Bryce. I'm the director of It's also being live streamed.
Wow, we can get into the story. Yeah.
What's your flight?
When she's getting she's getting a rental. Where are you driving? Texas? Hell yeah! Hell yeah! Do it right! I love it. That's, I rented a hotel in Reno. I love your leather jacket.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's my travel ensemble.
And it goes with everything.
It really does. It really does. It really does. That's another way to go, right? Behind you from your
I know, I want to corner too. I was grabbing this. Are your own beer closing? Oh, I was like, that's a really good idea. I'm going to bring one next year. Yeah.
I got out a little bit yesterday and got a good 30-mile bike ride in.
How are you doing?
Today,
Good.
came in at about 5.
No, of course.
I would love it. Watching some documents about how that shit was built upon all these cities. I'd love to get started about that.
His work product is so good. Rebecca McKay. So we did a Zoom meeting. Yeah, Courtney and I were talking about Zoom meeting. Friday. Yeah, Friday. So that was it. Yeah. So what do you got there? Oh. This was leftovers? Leftovers. It's really good. I guess the doctor will
Yeah, that was right.
Huh?
As soon as I switch up to this basketball.
How to be less stupid about race, and it's about a woman who it's a sociologist piece, and she's a book over there, how to be less stupid about race. Yeah, I want to check it out. It sounds great. Yeah, you got me pretty.
You were correct. I didn't even think about that. That's fair. That's fair.
It's not as soon as they get right.
No, we're going to start in just a couple of months. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for your patience.
Right, like this.
This is not real. This is simply saying, speaking practice. Am I forcing you? No. Can I say, I would appreciate your presence? Yes. Also, me and him earlier were doing this, but I was getting help with my phone. The words are fine. I'm trying to just figure out the musicality. So another brain that would help me.
Right. So you need Right. Oh my God. Okay, so good. Yeah. September, okay. September, okay. That's good to know. Nice. Gotcha. All right, that's good to know.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Right. Yes. I'm sure it's a game and bring it back. Yeah, you've seen it. Like, they have Instagram. They're in the total space that they're doing on normally. They're doing this stuff. Refrigerators, I saw things for the windows so that you have a screen, all kinds of stuff. All the ingredients that you need to make. What makes you it was like a window sliding. You could see. Slide up. And I saw like a young woman was carrying. I saw that she's been to the door like mini fridge, all kinds of stuff. Yeah, right. Those days are not coming. Oh shit. Oh! See, they're just too many things to talking. I'm sitting next to the cameras, they can get the money. I'm like hot, like.
Breath is only like a 50-foot walk, but that's mask, you know, it's part of the oxygen. Thank you all for coming, friends, family, colleagues, writers, artists, all. Those who are on the web, I know there's many people that are streaming in. Thank you for coming here to celebrate the work of 5 writers. We have 2 here in attendance. One is a family emergency. Another is en route. Home with some health things going on too, and there's one, Rebecca Evans, who's in there somewhere streaming, and she's with us. There are also all of these writers over here. So these are your contemporaries. Your books are going to be added right here on top. And many of you in the audience, your books are soon to come. But look at that. There's a lot of voices there, a lot of people. So as you graduate, know that you have a community here that you already know very well. But this community is out there for you too. We're all one big family. So, I think what we need to do, or keep talking, is like the camera, right? With this torture device of a tassel. You know, like they invented. I think it was invented specifically to keep us hungry. We've this is our 20th residency, so we've had a lot of amazing voices stand in front of this candle and share their work. But this residency in particular is special to me. It's kind of a comeback after a long drought of not being together and a difficult time. And for the family members, I really appreciate your support of your loved ones because it makes it possible. This time we had not only COVID, which we all know about, right? But also these fires, and it's been sort of a double whammy of trying to be resilient, but you've been resilient, and it's something I admire. I hope to emulate. So, at this point, I think I'm going to introduce someone who many of us know already, but I think it'll help to have a little more context of just some. I know there's a much bigger life, but I'm just giving a sketch of some of that much bigger life. Our Executive Vice President and Provost, Dr. Heaton, Jill Heaton, has joined the Executive Transition Office from her position at the UNR Senior Vice Provost. She has extensive credentials to lead academic operations at SMU, guide academic program integration, and support the process of certifying the SMU acquisition through federal and national accrediting bodies. Throughout her 17-year career at the University of Nevada, Reno, Dr. Heaton has distinguished herself as one of UNR's finest instructors, researchers, and administrators. As the Vice Provost for Faculty Affairs, which she began in August 2018, her responsibilities included many of the most important aspects of faculty affairs. This included space allocation for classrooms and laboratories, coordinating faculty and campus policy changes reflected in the University Administrative Manual. She's also a former chair of the Department of Geography. Her research interests are focused on reptiles in arid climates, including Nevada and Namibia, which is connected in some part maybe with Michelle's thesis a little bit. And Jill's an exceptional faculty member, university citizen, and administrator. Her knowledge, wisdom, and leadership have been critical in UNR's success during her time in the Provost's office. And I personally like to say, because sometimes that can come across, our bios sometimes come across a little dry. I liked when I got into the reptiles and stuff. That's where I felt like it was really coming to life and stuff. But, I am really deeply happy to see Dr. Heaton take the helm to lead us. In difficult times like these, you need people who are good at what they do, shoot straight, and always have the best interests of the people that they work with and the mission that they're trying to accomplish. And I see that so clearly in Dr. Heaton. So I'm glad to be able to have her as a mentor and to learn from her. So maybe we can have a round of applause as she comes up.
Well, thank you all, and welcome. It is, you cannot imagine what an honor it is for me not just to be the Executive Vice President and Provost for SMU, but to be here with you today and your family. This is your family, your brothers, your sisters. You may consider some of them as your academic parents now, and you will have your academic children one day as well, those that come after you that are sitting in the audience today. I can't say enough with respect to how excited I am for you and want to congratulate you. I suspect when you got here 2.5 years ago, you had dreams of what this experience would be like for you. I hope it has been everything, but I hope it has also been more. If it's anything like my graduate career, it made me mad at times. It made me cry at times. It humbled me a lot. And I think that's critically important as you continue forward in your careers. There's nothing more important in your life than to be brought to your knees on occasion. That's exactly how you know how tall you can stand, is when you have been brought down. And graduate work, if it is done well and done thoughtfully and done from your own heart, will do that to you, because it should really stretch and expand you. Again, I can't be more excited for where I hope that you are going, whether you know where that is or not. You are going somewhere, and I'm proud of you. So the other thing that I'll say, I'm keeping this brief, is this is a special day for you in the audience to see your colleagues graduate, a special day for you to graduate. This is also a very, very special day for me. This is the first graduate ceremony at SNU that I am assisting and presiding over, and so it will be with me forever as well. So I say to Hillary, Michelle, Rebecca, Lisa, and Catherine, you will always be in my mind as well for the experience that you are also giving me today to be able to preside over your graduation ceremony. So I've only briefly, as in like the other day, met June. I don't think she needs much introduction to all of you. And I am pleased to invite her up to the stage next to give a commencement address to all of you. So June, please.
First, before anything else, I would like to thank Brian Turner. He has made this whole thing happen. He's created this space where writers thrive and support each other, where we mix and mingle with some of the most exceptional living writers working today, where we challenge each other, where we have fun, where we get serious, where we play around, and where we shine. I am so indebted to him on a lot of levels, and that leads me to a personal thank you to Brian. When I broke the news to him that I had lost my position as undergraduate faculty at Sierra Nevada University and department chair, without a beat, without hesitation, he said, "You'll always have a home with the MFA." That's the kind of person he is. And as you can see, he kept me on the roster. Thank you. And graduates, wow, you did it. Yes. Hillary, Lisa, Michelle, Catherine, and Rebecca for the second time. I'm not sure where the camera is, but Rebecca, congratulations again. You shine and you have our love and our respect. I have been thinking a lot lately about the writing life, and I just want to share a few thoughts that have been in my mind recently. Basically, as I've been, revamping my CV, I've been thinking that sometimes the writing life gets mistaken for writing outcomes.
Yes.
Like publishing or finishing that novel or winning that contest or award. And this has been on my mind a lot because I'm looking at my CV wishing, I wish I had better awards. I wish I had more publications. I wish, and I feel like at some point you will face that as well. You will face that pressure. And I want to say that I think the real gift isn't outward facing at all. It's the inward discovery that comes when you write. It's the voice you follow that helps you illuminate those shadowy spaces that you need to see more clearly. And then, of course, there's more shadows, because every time there's more light, there's more shadows. So it never ends. There's a constant exploration. But the reward is the journey, and that interior light that flickers more fully alive, that rich inner self-expression, the life of the mind that you take with you every day as you walk out in the world, the swelling of empathy and understanding that comes with a closely observed existence. I mean, you've heard enough about the rules: write what you know, write every day, make it a practice, research where to send your work, all of those things. But I'm not sure we always pay as much attention to something that is just as deep and meaningful, and that is the personal fulfillment with your human experience. I noticed this the other day when I was out to dinner, and Brian made sure that the waitress passed along a Korean expression for thank you to the Korean chef. And I thought, that's because he always observes. You know, he's always paying careful attention, and he responds from that place of attention. And that place of attention gives us a lot of empathy. We see what connects us to others. So I guess what I want to tell you is, at some point, there may be some pressure to show some proof of that you're a writer. And I want to say, you don't have to. You do not have to. Because you have it in you. You don't have to have the long list of publications or public readings or, you know, the bread loaf residency or all of those things. You have something that strengthens you from the interior, and that is well worth noting. Like Sarah and Suzanne and many others in this room, I've typed frantically while also dissolving into gasping tears. When I finished the novel that I read you an excerpt from this week, I cried for 2 days. It was one of the perks of being unemployed. I had 2 days off. I could cry all I wanted to. But I was less afraid, you know. Once that cage is broken open, it does make you stronger, as Dr. Heaton said, you know. You rise from your knees and you feel taller when you rise. And that, I think, very much happens when you're writing. You allow your heart to break open again, and then you just keep rising. So, putting a spit shine on my resume, I'm listing every publicly acknowledged thing I've ever done. And as I think about it, I know that it would never be enough anyway. I really believe you could win the Pulitzer and it still wouldn't be enough, because that external validation beast only gets hungrier when it's fed. And it reminds me of a story that Catherine Weaver would probably know well. If she were here, she could tell it better than I. A native story about the grandfather who tells his grandson that there are two wolves at war within us. One is, you know, joy and compassion and empathy, and one is, you know, resentment and jealousy and all that. You get the idea. And the grandson asks which one will win, and the grandfather replies, the one you feed. And this is true of the writing life too. So I want to advocate for the quiet animal that was the one that first got you on this writing path, the one that beat sort of inarticulately at your chest and wanted to be expressed and wanted to be examined and explored and articulated. That's the one I'm advocating for, like, you to throw some sausage to. That said, I know I'm a writer. I know that Simon & Schuster isn't going to come to your door and say, hey, I hear you have a novel. I'd like to see that. And so my point is focusing on the writing, but I know that writing is a business and it's a publishing industry. It's an industry. It's and you have to engage in that. So it does take a little bit of a balance between the intrinsic and the external sort of focus, getting it out of there. And what I like to think of for myself, because my answer is almost always in literature. Literature has been my guide and my teacher. It's been there for me when I have felt bereft of any company. And T.S. Eliot, in his poem Ash Wednesday, talks about how to care and not care. And I think somewhere in that kernel is the balance that we have to have as writers. We have to be invested enough to, yes, go ahead, send that work out to the right magazine or journal or publisher. And then we also have to be able to get those rejection slips, which are inevitably a part of the writing life, and strike that balance of care and not care. And keep the focus on the work itself, how we give ourselves to it. You know, how we don't know if it's going to be gold or not, but we love it unconditionally, and who knows, maybe that novel that lives in your drawer for for the rest of your life, maybe the success had a different measure anyway, all along. Maybe the success of it is happening every single day in every interaction you have with other people. So I guess I'm saying stay true to your work. Keep allowing it to change you, to challenge you, to break you wide open, to sustain you. Keep offering your hand to your work, even when it pushes you to the edge. And there's one other thing I'd like to say in closing, and that is what I talked about in the beginning when I was thanking Brian, and that is we really need each other. We are in this together. It might sound a little cliche, but it's true. We're in this together. We're writers together. We support each other. We uplift each other. You felt it, I hope, every residency, and even when we're away from each other and we reach out and connect and give our support and our feedback. Stay in touch. Keep those ties. Keep your family, your writing family. And don't berate yourself if the thesis doesn't get published in a year, or if you don't get that writing residency at Breadloaf you really, really wanted. Don't berate yourself. Celebrate yourself. You know, celebrate the accomplishment that is the work itself. And for God's sake, don't berate each other. You know, celebrate everything. Celebrate the finely crafted sentence the same way you would celebrate writing an award or getting a poet laureate position. This program is fueled by love, and that was Brian's intention from the get-go. Before he even started the program, he set his intention toward a community of love and support and connection. And so keep that, keep us. Continue to hold each other and us in your hearts. And please know that I do wholeheartedly wish every kind of success in publishing and residencies and public speaking engagements and all of those things. But all the while, I also really, really do hope that you keep the focus on the writing and that inward discovery and creation, and know that it's about the art, not about the frame it's in or the museum that displays it. You have my love. You have my hearty congratulations. Thank you.
of Trustees, in accordance with the Charter of Sierra Nevada University, reserves the authority to approve the granting of all academic degrees. The faculty have recommended the candidates before us to receive the degrees as listed in the program. I hereby confer upon the program director for Masters of Fine Arts in Creative Writing the authority to confer these degrees. Mr. Director, please proceed.
So I'd like to ask Hillary Adams to step up here and to be introduced by Stephen Church.
Hello, Sierra Nevada University of Nevada College, University of Peanut Butter Food people. I'm very sorry I can't be there with you today. But rest assured that I'm wearing a cap and gown and standing outside beneath a pine tree in my yard in Fresno, probably breathing smoke from the same fire that you all are. And I'm happy to be able to introduce Hillary Adams today. Those of you who know Hillary know that she's a subtle assassin of the word, a fierce and loving mother, a loyal friend, and a compassionate, thoughtful leader of her peers' life. Hillary and I spent 2 semesters working together, and it was all a true joy for me. I look forward to reading her package into our follow-up phone conversations. I can just throw out crazy ideas and suggestions like, what if you wrote about writing and workshopping about that essay you're trying to write? And she'd just be like, cool, I got this. And she would totally get it. She could do anything. She had that uncanny ability to take any suggestion and make it work on the page. It was as if she just walked in cold to a gymnastics class and told the coach, I'd like to do some backflips, and then just went out and did a bunch of backflips, as if she'd been doing them her whole life. And when you combine that innate talent with a truly humbling work ethic, you have the recipe for a successful writer. Hillary is one of those writers who doesn't take herself too seriously, but takes the craft of writing very seriously. She's not afraid to put in the effort to confront herself on the page. Hell, she's not afraid of anything on the page. Her writing is funny, cut to the bone honest, courageous, and filled with empathy and understanding. Her thesis is a perfect example of essaying as an act of love and of reckoning. It's a love letter to her daughters, an embrace of them in all their uniqueness, and a reach toward loving herself as much as she loves her kids. I am a father to a teenage daughter, a beautiful and powerful soul, who has similar struggles to Hillary's daughters. And reading her thesis not only helped me understand my daughter, but also inspired me to want to do better, to be a better father. Thank you for the gift of your words, your work, and your wisdom. Congratulations, Hillary.
2012 was January. June and I had already gone through proposing the program. We arrived here. I should note that June is, for all that June was saying, she is the headwaters of this program. So it comes from her. All of these books are here because of her and her vision. Thank you for that. And you added so much to my life. And as we did that, if you remember, Suzanne was here, and there were more faculty than there were students. We had 8 students, and they're amazing because the first 8 were pioneers. They believe in a thing that didn't exist, and they were ready to be there to make it exist, to make it become a reality, to make this possible. Unfortunately, there were some struggles in the road for Michelle Cook. She was in that first class. And when she came to the residency in that semester, there were very difficult things that you had to attend to. And you did. And while you attended to them, I didn't know this was happening, but you were looking out your window. And you were looking a part of the world that needed attention, and needed someone to pay attention to it. We talk about eco-poetics. We talk about how it's important to witness and to serve as a writer of witness. And oftentimes when we talk about climate change, it just becomes it's hard to get, and for me it's hard to get my brain around it to kind of fully comprehend it. And I think one of the things that Michelle does in her thesis is she's able to pay attention to the local, so we might be able to see the local truly, and then also start to extrapolate and look the wider lens to begin to understand how things are happening around the world in our own communities, in my own community, for example. In her artist statement, she writes, "The use of maps also originates from my backgrounds in cartography. I wanted to poetically render the historical practice of chorography." Am I pronouncing that right? I should have looked that up. Okay. I'm not. How do I say it? Chorography. Yeah, C-H-O-R-O-G, right? Yeah. Chorography is defined as the art of describing or mapping a region or district. It deals with the impression of a place and the qualities rather than the quantities of the things that it sets down. I also take Ferdinand von Richthofen's approach to chorography. He regarded the practice as a specialized form of geography, which focuses on the description of the many traits of a region through detailed field investigations of very small areas. Perhaps the most important reason is to bear witness to this landscape. It is an area that is thought to be desolate and uninhabitable. Many will see the valleys, mountains, and deserts, the sensible properties of the Great Basin Desert. It is not these characteristics I seek, but instead to record the vulnerability of its ecology and its ephemeral hiddenness. This is where I was really putting, and its ephemeral hiddenness, its mystery, fragility, and resilience. That's what I see in your poetry. There's this topography, and as you read and read, if you read your poems over and over, if I read your poems over and over as I do, then I start to still myself and inhabit the landscape. And then there's a hiddenness there that is somehow between the words of it, if that makes sense. And I'm grateful for that, because you help me see the world new. And that's one of the fundamental things that I think one of the reasons why we turn to authors of literature is to see the world new, to see ourselves anew, to be augmented by sentence by sentence, paragraph by paragraph, verse by verse. That resilience really is a word that sticks with me with you, Michelle. To see a thing through. That kind of fortitude and your strength, we can all learn from. And I know it will carry you through book by book by book. You've written a very important book. I hope you know that. So, I should have asked you up here.
Oh, sure.
You've already said it on the page, right?
I probably said enough.
I'm also introducing another writer, but I'll start with this. It's from a thesis manuscript for my book. The non-standard parenting plan for turning boys into men. Before you show, before you even know, take folic acid. Rest. Read what to expect when you're expecting. Worry. Unlearn normal baby care, preemies or special breeds. Listen for breath. Live on little sleep. Hold them heart against heart. Sink yourself. Forget feeding yourself or showering or writing. Wonder, is it abuse if your husband bashes your arm? Tell yourself, so long as he doesn't harm the children. Teach your sons to pee standing, aiming for little Fruit Loops in the toilet. Redefine harm. Take the victim protection counselor's advice, pack a duffel for each son. Bundle medical supplies, birth certificates, the breast pump. Escape. Seek shelter in a safe house. Food, shelter, safety, basic needs turn scarce. Find a way. Find your military training pays. Stretch a loaf of bread across an entire week. Build hamburgers from rice and beans. Rebuild yourself. Answer honestly. If they're old enough to ask, they're old enough to know truth. Titanium and bone grafts your fractured neck. Seal your fractured heart. Show your sons you're not a survivor, you're an overcomer. While you're at it, show yourself. Build blanket forts. Brew cleaning potions. Grow fruit trees from discarded seeds. Recycle, repurpose. Learn to cook with flour, water, salt, and sugar. Bake tortillas, challah, bagels. Write poetry on scrolls and tie them to the trees. Fill a free little library. Pray for the sick, the weary, the hungry, yourself. Attend grad school twice. Schedule date trainings. Teach them to press deodorant through body hair, shave beards, hold doors for strangers. Tell them to value their own body and the bodies of all others. Treat your car as parental training ground. Bring bananas and condoms. Demonstrate safe sex at stoplights. Sing aloud in public when they misbehave and get the lyrics wrong. Dance to AC/DC in front of their peers. Say, I'm sorry. Say it often. Give them private journals where they can ask anything. Promise to keep their secrets. Keep every promise. Heal through written word, tear-stained pillows, house-saging rituals. Teach them forgiveness. Offer up yourself as a scapegoat. They may call you anytime, any day, any hour. Permit them to call you crazy Jewish mom. Behave accordingly. Remind them life is temporary and they are souls journeying through bags of skin. Tell them, thank you for choosing you. Remind them their ancestors would be proud. And the last line, I don't know if Rebecca can see me from here, but I'd like to repeat it a couple times. Remember not to lose yourself along the way. First off, remember not to lose yourself along the way. That's from her thesis manuscript. I was fortunate enough to work with Rebecca, and what a pleasure that was, and a difficulty, because it's a powerful book. I don't know if I was ready to be the person to talk with her about all of this, and I did my best, but for Rebecca, you, as a master of the art, you have the tools now. You can tell the story. I don't know if you all know this, but she's completed a 2-part journey on her way to writing many books in years ahead. She first began here in creative nonfiction, and after graduation turned to poetry. But she'd already studied and practiced what some might call poetic medicine, and I think the poem I just read from her thesis highlights the recurring movement within her work. Her work often explores pain, which she's well aware of the pitfalls of that, the addiction to trauma that sometimes happens in this process. Instead, her study of difficulty and trauma through the vehicle of poetry is a way of transforming oneself and by extension the reader so that we might become more whole, empowered, radiant, strong, beautiful. It's an honor to work across the desk with Rebecca, and I look forward to the books ahead. Rebecca, I hope you're there. I know we'll be emailing this next week and stuff, so we'll just continue the conversation as it must be, I hope, year by year by year. So maybe we can all clap for Rebecca, please. We have 2 introductions for the two other graduates, Lisa Tucker and Catherine Weaver, but we've sent those to the writers themselves. Right now, they're both struggling with some difficult things, and so we're trying to respect that time and space. So at the right time, we'll get those messages to them. And I know all of you will be reaching out to continue the conversation and the friendship. Right? So I should say Hillary Adams, Michelle Cook, Rebecca Evans, Lisa Tucker, Catherine Weaver. I now present to you, friends, family, writers all, the graduates of summer 2021. If you please stand.
Exactly. My hands are right. We're here.
He's probably watching with love.
Exactly.
I saw him like